All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll talk more playmakers later in the hour. We've got Richard Johnson coming up this hour. Shane Beamer, South Carolina head coach, coming up at 9 a.m. this morning. But every Tuesday, we are joined by the voice of the Auburn Tigers, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. It's Andy Burcham.
Lifted, buy and rented, the big dogs got it. Now, Andy Burcham.
Andy, always great to have you in on a Tuesday. Tough loss over the weekend for Stephen Pearl's group. How do you give us your 1, 2, 3 sentence description of what this Auburn basketball team is right now?
Searching, I believe, is one word, and searching defensively. The last 2 ball games were very, very tough for Auburn, damaging, obviously, with regard to the NCAA tournament. The loss at Oklahoma and then the loss at home to Ole Miss. Auburn will have to make a run now I believe, to make the NCAA tournament at this point. And that is a must for tonight for the 9 o'clock game against LSU, broadcast right here on Jocks at 8:30 on the Auburn Sports Network. They've got to find a way to go in probably and win at Alabama, which will be a Herculean task on Saturday night, and in all likelihood make a run at the SEC tournament at this point. So searching from a defensive standpoint, searching to defend the 3 better than it has of late, and we'll get another tough task in that tonight from Max McKinnon from LSU. So searching, I think, is one word for this Auburn ball club right now.
As you look at what they had to endure with the challenging schedule, it was like, this is the relief. These last couple games were the relief. It was finally going to get back going in the right direction. Do you think it's just fatigue? I mean, why do you think things have kind of cratered the way they have when you thought this was going to be the upswing?
Good question, and I don't have a definitive answer for you, Mac. I mean, everybody is fatigued at this time of the year. I mean, it's been a long regular season that wraps up with these 2 games for Auburn this week. Everybody is in the same boat. Now, Auburn's played the best strength of schedule in the country this season. That may change in the future. They may back off of that non-conference schedule just a little bit, but I felt pretty good about this ball club coming out of the non-conference schedule. And you look back to that week of basketball, which at this point was the pinnacle for Auburn on the season thus far. And granted, there is still season coming up. But that week where Auburn went to Ole Miss and then went to Florida and won both of those games, and since that time, you got to wonder what has happened to this ball club. You come out of that Florida game a little over a month ago now, and you're thinking about all the possibilities of this team. And the trajectory of that team is up at that point. And since then, it has been a struggle for Auburn. And it has been a struggle in games where Auburn has been favored. I think Auburn will be favored again tonight. But Auburn was favored last Saturday against Ole Miss, and Auburn was favored last Tuesday at Oklahoma. And yet the Tigers have lost both of those ball games and find themselves, according to a lot of the prognosticators right now, on the outside looking into the NCAA tournament.
Is there a matchup with this LSU team that has to be handled, managed, be it individually, side of the court that you're looking at, that is maybe most important tonight for Auburn to start that run you referenced?
Well, the big thing for me tonight, the big concern for me tonight from a defensive standpoint is Max McKinnon. He's a big guard. He's out of Australia, 6'6", has 62 threes on the year, 23 double-figure games on the year, really good range on his jumper, and of late, that has been the Achilles heel of this Auburn team, is defending the 3. I think this is a great year for guards in the Southeastern Conference, and I've mentioned that before. I think this is a really good year for guards, and especially shooting guards in the league. And Auburn gets another really good shooting guard tonight in Max McKinnon. This LSU ball club won in double overtime last week at this point against Ole Miss, lost to Oklahoma. But I think this is a good basketball team coming in, and of late, Auburn, everybody's a good basketball team coming in, the way Auburn has played of late. So that to me is the matchup from a defensive standpoint, is finding some way, somehow, to try and control the shooting of Max McKinnon tonight. That is it to me. Now, I will get with the team a little bit later on today. I'll be fascinated to listen to the scouting report for this game tonight, but I think part of that's going to include the defending the three-point shooting tonight of LSU.
When you look at what this team was doing earlier in the season, is there anything from your vantage point that has been different? Or is it just sloppy play, mistake-filled play, not as good on defense? What do you think has been different from what you saw early to what you see now?
If there has been a trend of late for Auburn that has worked against the Tigers, it is the start of the game. You look back at games that Auburn has lost of late, and many times the Tigers just don't get off to a good start. And the opponent gets some confidence early, whether that opponent is favored to win or not. And then Auburn is fighting its way back. Now, I mean, Saturday against Ole Miss was a game of runs for both teams. And both teams had runs where it looked like that they were about to take over the game, and really didn't for Ole Miss until late in the basketball game. There were times that Auburn was clearly playing the best basketball on the floor and would go on an 8 or 9-0 run, and then it just stopped abruptly. And Auburn wasn't able to really seize total control of the game. But it has been the start of games for Auburn, or the start of halves of basketball for Auburn, that has been a struggle of late. Now, why that is, it's a great question. It's addressed every single day in practice. It's addressed at every scouting report that I've been in with the team. So it's not something that is ignored in the least by this coaching staff or this team. That has been the case. And listen, tonight's a 9:00 game. In a season that has not gone the way Auburn would have liked. It's the last game of the regular season. It is senior night for four players on this team and managers. So there will be some emotion before this game tonight. But it's also a 9:00 game. I wonder what the crowd's going to be like tonight. It'll be a sellout. All the seats are sold. But what is it going to be like from an atmosphere standpoint at Neville Arena? So there are some things, kind of working the other way for the Tigers, even though this is a home game tonight. And this is one of those games for Auburn, I believe, that Auburn has to set the tone. Not wait for the jungle to take over tonight. Although I think there will be a good crowd, but this is one of those nights where Auburn has to rely on itself to set the tone and to set the atmosphere here tonight.
Is there a player that you feel like their role can be expanded? Let's say Jovic. Is there more he can do, be more part of the game, the things that are coming up here in the next week or so? Who do you look to say, I could see his role expanding to be able to help Auburn go on this run you're referencing?
Cole, I'm not sure it's an expansion of a role. I think it's got to be a guy that takes over. And I think one of those guys is Keyshawn Murphy. He's had two struggling games of late. He had 24 points 2 games ago, which was a career high for Keyshawn in the win, or 25 points, I should say, in the win against Kentucky. And then 2 struggling ball games last week at Oklahoma. Didn't even start in the loss to Ole Miss. He's a guy to me that can make a massive difference for Auburn because he is Auburn's primary post presence. and he has the ability, he has the physicality to do that. So it's not an expansion of his role. I think we've got to see the Keyshawn of 2 weeks ago, where he had career high games scoring wise in 2 of 3 games at that point. And I think we've got to see a more consistent Keyshawn Murphy. Tonight, he is one of the guys that will be honored on senior night tonight. Keyshawn Hall is another, and then a couple of the guys that are on the scout team, C.J. Williams and Reed Trapp, will also be honored tonight. But to me, the guy is one of the guys that you absolutely need to take over, and that's Keyshawn Murphy. That's the guy for me, and it's not an expansion of his role. He's just got to be better. He has to be better in the last 2 games of his regular season career.
Andy, as we flip over to the gridiron, middle of what many call fourth quarter conditioning program, workout program, what have you heard so far about the new staff and what they're putting the guys through as they prepare to start spring 2 weeks from today?
Spent 2 times with Alex Golish and Cody Burns and Byron Brown at 2 launch events. There were 3 total. I was unable to make the one that was down in Daphne, but there was one in Birmingham at Regents Field, and then one last week at the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville. And I got to spend a little time with those 3 on that staff. And I get the listen. This spring practice coming up will be one of the most important spring practices for Auburn in a long, long time. 1, because it is a new staff. 2, because it is almost a brand new team. There are so many new faces, Byron Brown included, with this football team as it gets ready to start spring practice here in about 10 days or so. This is going to be a fascinating time. I mean, they're out now. They can meet with the team. Coaching staff can meet with the team on a very limited basis during this time, and they're going through their winter workouts. And you guys know what it was like to go through winter workouts. I'm told it's not a whole lot of fun, but it is an absolute critical time for a culture of a ball club, for a brand new team to get together, really for the first time and in a very short amount of time. But that spring practice coming up is going to be fascinating to be able to watch this team learn a new offense, watch a defense continue to get better, although there are a lot of new faces that are going to be playing under DJ Durkin on this defense. And it will wrap up with an actual game on 8A this year. It may be the last ever 8A real football game that we ever see, because you keep hearing hints that spring football is and off-season football is going to change dramatically in the years to come. But there's going to be at least a game, and not a practice. It's going to be a game, we're told, in April at Jordan-Hare Stadium. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to watching this offense with a lot of new players to Auburn, but many of these players through the transfer portal came to Auburn from USF. So they know what this offense is about. But it's a brand new offensive line. In talking with Byron Brown at both of these launch events, on the stage and off the stage, about those guys that played with Byron last year at USF and now are at Auburn, especially on the offensive line, or on the offense. The first guy he talks about isn't a tight end, or isn't a tailback or a wide receiver. It's Cole Best, his center. That's the first guy he talks about every single time. And I think Auburn had that is a terrific anchor for what would be an absolutely brand new offensive line for this team moving forward.
It's huge to have that relationship, to have that guy in front of you that knows where you want to go, why you're changing things, can help you change things, can help you communicate things. And it's massive for any offense to have that center back with that quarterback. I need you to follow up, though, on what you just said about spring football. I haven't heard a ton of this buzz. And I'm not referencing just Auburn, just in general. Take us further as to what you're hearing about this maybe potentially just being gone altogether.
Well, I'm not trying to, I don't know if I overstep my bounds here, but it's just the things that you hear about what could become of the possibilities of spring practice. I mean, we've already seen a dramatic difference just in the spring game itself. And for the last couple of years at Auburn, it was nothing more than a glorified practice. It just gave a chance for people to come to campus and to be around the stadium and get some autographs and that type of thing. And we'll see that again. I believe fans will have the opportunity to get autographs after the game. But you keep hearing hints from coaches and others that this could be going, and I don't think there's anything definitive at this point, Cole, but that we could be going to a more of a pro and NFL-ish type model when it comes. Hugh Freeze talked about it quite a bit, that he thought that we would see OTAs, more of and more stuff during the summer months leading into fall camp. That's what I'm referencing there. I don't think there's anything definitive on the table, but I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't changes coming. And I think part of it is probably, we've already seen a dramatic change in the transfer portal time period already. And I just think all of that working together, I wouldn't be surprised if someday that there isn't a massive change in what spring football practice has been traditionally through the years.
Andy,
I'm not saying anything is definitive. I'm the last person that would know at this point.
Andy, also, you mentioned Byron Brown just a few moments ago. You had a chance to be around him, talk to him. Outside of the value of him coming in with Cole Best, just give us your impressions of being around him, his personality, his demeanor.
Yeah, he is a thoughtful young man, and he's not someone that seeks the spotlight from what I gather. I mean, he knows what his role is, and he has been terrific with the Auburn family in the two events I saw, and was told that he was the same at that third event down in Daphne. He is thoughtful in how he answers his questions. He, I think, appreciates the opportunity he is given and the stage that he is on now at Auburn. He is an impressive looking quarterback. He has that demeanor to him, and he's a big kid too. I mean, that's a great looking athlete that Auburn's going to put on the field this year at the quarterback spot. And he's also experiencing Auburn for the first time, and I've been intrigued by that. And one of the questions that I asked him is that what do you expect when you walk into Jordan-Hare Stadium that first? And he's talked about how he has talked with other players, guys that are still with this program, that have been a part of that, and what to experience for that first Tiger Walk, for that first home game, and what that first night game at Jordan-Hare Stadium is going to be like. So he is getting to experience, Cole, what you experienced in your career at Auburn and what those others have experienced through. And he does it. It's probably a little bit of a fire hose for him because he's going to do it in 1 year. At
Absolutely.
Auburn. I've been impressed when I've been around him just to chat about things away from football. I'm impressed with what I've seen from Byron Brown so far.
Great stuff, Andy. Always appreciate the information. Always appreciate catching up with you. We know each and every week you do it. Thanks to Craneworks.
And Wasteworks, which is a Craneworks company, provides roll-off dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area with a wide range of sizes and fast service. They are your source for local dumpster rentals. Visit wasteworksusa.com for a quote. We're on the air tonight very late, 8:30 pregame tonight. Auburn and LSU at 9. Tigers wrap up the regular season, of course, at Alabama on a Saturday at 7:30. Auburn football, or Auburn baseball tonight at home against Sanford, and this weekend in the final non-conference baseball series of the year as Auburn gets ready for Winthrop. And then Auburn will go to Mizzou to open the SEC next week. Guys, have a great day. War Eagle.
War Eagle, Andy. Thank you very much. Andy Bertram joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking all things Auburn. Voice of the Auburn Tigers joins us weekly thanks to our friends at Craneworks. We will shift gears, go back to a little bit of college football. Some administrators around college football are laying down the law, or at least attempting to. What have they done? We'll discuss it next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. A fairly large development happening kind of right now in college football. Louisville Athletics at Go Cards tweets out, college athletics is at a structural inflection point. Right here, Tuesday, March 3rd, 8:24 a.m. on Jocks. Listen online, jocksfm.com. Apps in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. From the arena, not the sidelines. College athletics is running out of time.
Already?
Man.
It's a hell of a run, John.
Yeah, it's only been 40-something years for me, though.
Well, but, I mean, we talked about Swanee out there lunching on people's calves. It's been a run.
It's been a minute. We had a great run. Feels great.
Think how
about
much
it.
fun we've had, guys. But that clock's ticking. Thought they were going to reference like an asteroid or something coming here, but apparently it's just the money. is about to run out.
Don't want that. Sounds like we're dead.
It's an article written by President Dr. Jerry Bradley, Josh Heard, Vice President and Director of Athletics, and Dr. Lawrence Benz, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, all University of Louisville. Essentially, Greg, they are saying that financially this cannot continue.
Nope, dead.
And we are at a breaking point in college sports. They are asking for assistance from the government.
Mm-hmm.
And, quote, without an enforceable cap, the current trajectory is clear. A small number of programs will spend whatever it takes to dominate. The middle class will hollow out, and hundreds of programs will be forced to cut sports, reduce scholarships, and abandon the student athletes who depend on them.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an overreaction?
Yes. Want to know why? Answer me this, just out of curiosity. Help me out.
All right.
This is going to be crazy. Hear me out for a second, everybody. When I arrived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, nearly 20 years ago, which is a scary thought.
It is.
June of 2006, back in the day when you actually went to second semester senior year. I went to prom. Super fun.
They have a prom at the University of Alabama?
No, I was going pro in something other than sports.
Noted.
It's actually being a student.
It was a stage play, apparently.
Yeah. I didn't even go for early summer. We arrived.
Sidebar, was prom one of the biggest, when you look back on it now?
Most overrated moment, arguably.
It might be most top 5 overrated nights of my life.
No doubt.
Maybe top 3.
It was literally just it's like your normal Saturday, except you just went.
Wore a tuxedo. That was
Wore
it.
tux, yeah. Spent a lot of money to
And
like
we had
hang
15
out with your
people
friends.
jammed into a Holiday Inn Express room. Didn't even spend the night there. Just had the room.
Yeah, but did you wake up smarter the next day? Probably did. Holiday Inn
He
Express.
said he didn't
Wait,
stay there. That's the problem.
Look who you're talking to. No.
He didn't stay in the room.
Okay, so hear me out. 20 years ago, I arrived at Tuscaloosa. Nearly. The undergraduate enrollment was 26,000 people. And you know what percentage was of those 26,000 were in state?
Probably about 80.
Probably higher, if I'm going to be honest. I don't know the
I wouldn't
exact
push back on that, honestly.
percentage. I'd say 85 plus.
I wouldn't have a problem with that if you said it.
That's what I think it would have been. Don't know for sure. I just know this. I was the first person from my high school to go to Alabama in 8 years. 8 years. And my sister, 5 years later, went to Alabama alongside 9 of her high school classmates. 9. The undergraduate enrollment of the University of Alabama now is up 50% from that day, more than 50% at 43,000 thereabouts. Undergraduate, you know what percentage of that enrollment is out of state? Above 50%. What changed in the last 20 years? Don't give me this whole like, oh, well, they invested a lot in student housing.
I would say
That helps.
So I think this is where you're going.
Okay.
I would guesstimate that the out-of-state population enrollment since when you're referencing has more than doubled. Or would that be underestimating it still?
I think that's underestimating it. Seriously.
What would you put the percentage at right now, in-state, out-of-state?
I'd say 60-40 out of state.
Oh.
Don't know for sure, but that's my assumption.
It was now we're going back even further. When
Okay.
John and I graduated high school,
Yes.
it was almost a legitimate, because I had friends that went to Alabama that I went to high school with, and then I had friends that were going to go to Alabama once we got close to graduating and graduated. So we went down because it was close every now and then. It felt like an oddity when you met someone walking around that was from Kentucky, Georgia,
yeah.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
much less California, New York.
Dude, I didn't know anybody from Texas. Like we had the Dallas Tide group. There was literally like 6 of us that went to the Dallas Tide group from like Highland Park and Jesuit and like all these other, schools in Dallas. There were very few that were coming from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that were going to Alabama. Very, very few. Like it was like Tide in Texas was actually what it was. It was the Tide in Texas. It was like our alumni group there in Dallas. and they had organized these parties. I think there was like 8 of us. I knew them all by name. Pan Lucas, Laura Laurel. Like, I knew them all by name. Still remember them. It was like Roxanne Dukas. Like, I remember all their names because there were so few. Now there's 50 from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that are going to Alabama every year. What changed? That's still what I'm getting at. And you can tell me all this. Oh, well, you know, all the other things have been great. Everything about the university, Tuscaloosa in general, has improved tenfold in the last 20 years. It's amazing now. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a great place to live. And I could see myself living there. Not just going to school there. I mean, literally living there. It's that awesome. What changed? A championship caliber football program. That is the exclusive reason why Alabama's where it's at from an academic standpoint and from an enrollment standpoint. So if you think these state-funded institutions don't know where their bread is buttered, I completely disagree with you. They know that for a 3.5-hour time frame on Saturdays, plus the 3 hours that guys are on campus for game day, that is a legitimate infomercial. An infomercial for your institution.
I was actually going to dial it in and say more of the SEC on CBS.
That too.
Being almost exclusively responsible for this.
I don't know. Gosh, no.
Closely.
Quality of play is
but
exclusive.
The team
for
wouldn't
this.
have been in that window without being a good team. So
fair enough, but quality of play is what led to this. Championship caliber programs, going to national championships, playing in big windows, playing and having your program marketed and your school marketed. They made they acknowledged 20 years ago that if we invest in football, kids will come from anywhere. And they have. So you can tell me all you want that these schools they don't have the funds. Guess what? These state-funded institutions, academia, I'm not talking about athletic departments. Athletic departments are going to have, they're going to have their hands full. There's no doubt. But guess what the academic side is going to do? Now, oftentimes there's a tug of war between academic side and athletic side. Tug of war. Well, at some places, the academic side knows that they benefit from the quality of their athletic department. So it doesn't matter how hard the times might be for the athletic department. Guess what that academic side is going to say? It's like, hey, how much money you need? Because we want these out-of-state kids to keep coming. Let's make sure that we remain super competitive. That's the way it's going to work. At a lot of these southern schools, that's why we've grown. That's why we're big. Yes, the Greek system helps. Yes, the beauty of the campuses help. Yes, the quality of the athletic department helps. Yes, the football experience helps. All that stuff contributes. But the number one reason why the SEC is in a position of strength from a financial standpoint is because of the quality of the football. You can deny that all you want. Basketball has also helped as well.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of kids coming from the Northeast corridor that grow up loving hoops. So you have a good quality basketball program to go along with your football program. Boom, double whammy. Now I have something to root for and get dressed up for every Saturday for a 6-month period as opposed to a 3-month period. Boom, done.
Softball helped too.
Yeah.
Not to the extent.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it helps.
All right, so we'll continue that conversation. Richard Johnson, not necessarily scheduled to discuss this because it literally just dropped. We'll have more time to look at it throughout the course of the show and spend time on it, but he'll join us to discuss financials in college football next, right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It's 8:37, Tuesday, March 3rd, right here on Jocks. Going to talk to Richard Johnson here in just a moment. It is Tuesday. You can listen live, jocksfm.com. Get the podcast there. You can also let that direct you to YouTube, where you can watch the show live every day. Just go search Jocks945, watch us live on YouTube, or tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year again. That is the 6th year in a row in which they've won the national championship. You know how hard that is to do? It's almost impossible. To win it 9 times overall, it's a dynasty. And the fact that they're just 45 minutes away, short drive up to Coleman, be glad that you drove up there to save a ton of money. Like a GMC Sierra that's nearly $15,000 off the sticker price. That's a $1,500. It's an amazing deal. It's the Denali Ultimate. $14,500 officially off the sticker. You get it for under $73,000. When another place you're playing well over $87,000. Deals like that that keep people coming back. There's a reason why 75% of their business is repeat customers. That's because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. So take the short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
So we booked Richard Johnson to come on and talk about mainly the Sacramento State move, the rate in which they are going to attempt to do it. I've only seen one other school try to do it this quickly, and that was Georgia State. Now, I'm not an expert on schools moving to Division I and how it happens. But the financials, Richard, in the way that it seems that they are discussing how beneficial this would be and where this is going, as to some of the things that you uncovered, don't really seem to add up. Let's start with the how and why, because we're seeing this letter come down from the Louisville administration right now, essentially telling us all the clock is ticking and the money is running out. Yet here's Sacramento State seemingly spending like they have unlimited funds to be able to go make this move, and there's not a lot that look like they're going to be coming back in. Why do they want to make this move, number one, at all, and number two, at the rate in which they're attempting to make it?
Well, the first thing I'd say is they just want to. I know that's a little simplistic, but like they just want to be FBS. Their president feels like being in FBS creates that kind of front porch effect of the university, and they feel like it will generate, out-of-state applicants and all that sort of stuff to have them in. Now, I do think there is a FCS-wide, I don't know if understanding is the right word, maybe worry or anxiety that the door is going to be closed to move up. That's why not just Sacramento State did it, but in my opinion, that's why North Dakota State moved pretty swiftly and did it too. Now, obviously, North Dakota State has quite a bit of championship pedigree to move up. And, the funny thing is you mentioned it with Georgia State, but a lot of the recent teams who have come up have had success and held their own. Delaware and Missouri State did just recently. Obviously, Jacksonville State in your own area has held their own. Sam Houston State got a game away from a conference championship. The teams that have moved up recently have been all right. I actually think that Sac State may be maybe not year one, but okay from a football sense of the term, because guys, we know the bottom of the MAC is basically the FCS anyway, if we're going to be completely honest. So from a financial perspective, they gave the MAC, in my opinion, sort of an offer that they couldn't refuse. They said, we'll pay our way in $18 million, including $6 million up front in year one. They also have a $5 million fee that gets paid to the NCAA. And if they're to leave the MAC at any point in time over the next 5 years, then they owe the balance of that $18 million to the conference. They are also going to be covering the travel costs for MAC teams to go out to Sacramento. So Sac State bought their way in. They feel like they belong. They feel like they're a top 20 media market in the country and that they don't have major college football. Once the A's leave, I think next year to go to Las Vegas, it's just going to be the Kings and now them as far as kind of a major sporting draw in the city. And my reporting uncovered, though, that they are, in my opinion, embellishing and sunny side upping the economic impact of this move. I mean, they claim that it can have an economic impact value of up to $975 million over the next 5 years. I don't understand how you think playing Tuesday MAC games against teams with no regionality is going to earn you nearly $1 billion in economic impact over 5 years. And nobody can really tell me how any Sac State student, faculty member, business owner in Sacramento, or member of the community can directly feel the effect of that economic impact. Until you chart it out, it doesn't matter. And so my reporting went into some of the methodology in the study that was used and how some of that is faulty and some of that is based on an incomplete assessment of MAC TV ratings. But yeah, Sacramento State is up.
So how did they even come up with the $975 million? Like, I'm looking at your story, I'm looking at the charts, and I saw the tweet and all this other stuff. I don't understand how that becomes a reality. I understand the importance of football and how if you lean into football, it can bring in a lot of other people, but bringing Central Michigan in on a Wednesday, I don't know if that's going to increase enrollment tenfold. I'm just having a hard time connecting the dots. Well, I mean, it would for us. We'd go. I'd put an app in at Sac State, but help me understand this. I mean, I don't understand where they're coming up with the 975.
Well, Greg, I don't really either, to tell you, brother. Basically, what they did is they basically took a study that showed that the FBS impact for 1 year could be $195 million and multiplied that by 5. That was not the intention of the study. The CEO of the consulting company that did the study told me that. And basically how they got to $195 million in 1 year impact, projected, theoretical, of course, is that they basically took an advertising multiplier that is itself a kind of defunct metric that isn't really used, and that's according to reporting done by the LA Times in the last couple of days, and basically said that if Sac State can get a certain amount of eyeballs on its, call it 6-ish MAC games on Tuesday night, Saturday, and then if they play like 1 or 2 bye games against Power 4, that they could get up to $120 million of broadcast exposure impact. They baked that $120 million into the other things that you would expect, like game day revenue and tickets and parking and all that sort of stuff. And they came up with $195 million in 1 year perceived potential theoretical economic impact of an FBS move. Then their president just got into a calculator and multiplied 195 by 5, and out came 975. And so that became his press release. So when I went into it, I basically took a look at all the MAC ratings from regular season MAC games last year on ESPN, ESPNU, and rated television networks. And my understanding is that the ratings that Sac State can expect are far lower than what the consulting firm was projecting. I sent my numbers to the consulting firm, and then the consulting firm backed down its projections because their data was effectively, essentially incomplete. And so at the end of the day, this is something that public institutions do. This is something that teams do when they want to build stadiums, right? They come up with these big glossy numbers that say it could be up to this level of impact, but then there's no follow-up over the course of time over if that impact is actually felt by, again, students, faculty, members of the community, business owners, anybody. So it's just a press release that they get eyeballs on now, and if nobody kind of calls them on it or nobody goes and tries to replicate the math, then they just get away with it. And, you know, as a reporter, when I see $975 million over 5 years for a bunch of MAC games, that raises my eyebrow. So I did a little bit of digging.
Richard Johnson joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I realize that this letter from the Louisville administration has only been out for a short amount of time. You haven't had a chance to dig on just kind of all of it, what it is. But essentially, they're telling us that we're running out of time, that we're running out of money, and they're asking for a collective TV deal, and they're asking for congressional assistance. Why put this out now? Why state this the way that they're stating this now? What's the thought process here by this administration individually?
Well, you know, it's the off season, and in the off season, we get our high-minded academics to give us our white papers and to say that college athletics is under existential threat. And then, look, we know the economics of college athletics. It's some of it's funny money. A lot of it's frankly funny money. I understand that at some point in time, the system has to change. Something's going to happen here in the next few years once these TV deals kind of come up, and I expect there will be some stratification of FBS. You want to call it Super League. I don't know if that's what you want to call it. I don't know if it's going to be 30 teams. I don't know if it's going to be 50 teams. I don't know if it's going to be 80 teams. But there's going to be some sort of contraction from the 140-ish that we've got right now that Sac State and NDSU are up. So, as I understand it, this white paper is doing what people have been talking about for the last few years, which is we need Congress to come in and help, and the NCAA doesn't have any teeth. And how does the CSC, the College Sports Commission, get any enforcement power and blah, 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 blah. All of these entities are all saying various versions of the same thing. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you're paying attention right now, but Congress kind of has some bigger fish to fry right now in the United States of America than little old college sports. And I know it's a big business, and I know it matters a lot to the three of us, and it matters a lot to your listenership. But Congress, you can't argue their way out of a paper bag right now and find consensus. So you've got one side of the aisle that wants a college sports bill that's pretty omnibus, right? That would include mental health and long-term disability and all that sort of stuff. And then you've got another side of the aisle that probably wants something that's a little bit more streamlined. And so how do they come together? You've got SAFE Act, and you've got SCORE Act, and you've got all these commercials with Cody Campbell that you saw all season when you watched games. And you've got all these different bills and proposals and all this sort of stuff. So I just add this to the pile of probably well-intentioned, but, I add it to the pile of well-intentioned, dreaming about what college sports can do and who can govern college sports. Even when we talk about collective bargaining, which, I think is necessary, you got to tell me what the class of athletes is. Is it football players? Is it men's basketball players that make all the revenue? Is it just men's basketball and football players? Is it male athletes? Is it women athletes? Is it school by school? Is it conference by conference? Is it state by state? We've got so many questions to answer before we do any of this stuff. And then there's a chicken and egg, scenario with some of this too. Do they need to be employees? Do they want to be athletes? Do they want to be employees? It's all this sort of stuff that goes into a lot of these conversations that we always have during the off season about kind of the structure of college sports.
Richard, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on. We greatly appreciate it. As you said, this is confusing. There's a lot that can happen here, and a lot's going to take place before we get to this big reset. But we appreciate you hopping on today to discuss it.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Richard Johnson of CBS Sports joining us on the Higginbotham hotline at RJ_CFB. You can follow him on Twitter, CBSSports.com. You can find his work there. Get to a break. More college football next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:53 Tuesday, March 3rd, right here on Jocks. Looking further into this, do we call this an article? A letter? What is this even? From the Louisville administration, in your opinion, G-Mac? From the arena, not the sidelines. And it's written on University of Louisville letterhead by the president, the AD, and the chairman of the board of trustees. We write not as observers or commentators, but as the president, athletic director, and board chairman of a Power 4 university who live these numbers every day in budget meetings, in conversations with coaches and student athletes, and in briefings with our board. We have watched a system that was already straining under its own contradictions get hit simultaneously by litigation, the NIL era, and the House v. NCAA settlements, new direct compensation obligations. The math no longer works. And the time for incremental tinkering has passed. The goal of this article is not to assign blame or relitigate how we arrived here. It is to tell a national story through the lens of one athletic department, ours, in the belief that what we are experiencing in Louisville is what athletic directors, presidents, and trustees across the country are experiencing right now, whether they're saying so publicly or not. And it is to make the case for three structural reforms that, taken together, could actually save college athletics before it's too late. Insight into one athletic department. I thought they were going to give us the three things, but I'm going to have to read the whole article to, I guess, find those. The essential sections of this article are, like I said, insight into one athletic department. Athletic departments are economic engines. Financial crisis facing college athletics. The paradox of NIL and revenue sharing. And these might be the three things here. Spending cap enforcement. References is not one of them. So I got to read the whole thing. I'm sorry. Any other takeaways you have from trying to look over this thing here in the last couple minutes?
Not many. It's hard to kind of wrap your head around. A lot of it's pretty heavy lawyer speak.
If not a new entity, the NCAA must be given the power to set and enforce a standard set of rules so that everyone involved can either abide by these rules or be subject to strict and harsh penalties. I'm going to tell y'all again, some of these individuals hiring people to self-govern is going to be a tough ask. I'm just telling you. How many of y'all walk around every day, you're trying to lose weight, would hire somebody to walk around with you and tell you, you can't eat that, you can't have that?
Personal FU, not a coach, but
FU
trainer?
Administrator.
FU trainer?
Yeah. FU suggester.
There we go.
A blocker, so to speak.
A bodyguard for your mouth.
Can you imagine if you hired Quentin Nelson, every time you had fries, he just like treated you like he was, you're a linebacker and he's a pulling guard.
He just punch you right in the face.
Like Derrick Henry just shoving you out the way.
Terry Tate, office guard.